The first victim was Emily Stout. She was the sweetest thing, coming up from South Carolina to make it on Broadway. I met her at the subway station. Her blonde hair was gorgeous, really well cared for. Her blue eyes were cute, and her smile would easily brighten up your day. Unfortunately, everything about her turned repulsive when I got to her. When the police found her, most of her teeth were missing, her hair ripped to shreds, and her eyes popped out of their sockets. Every time I look at her picture, it brings a smile to my face, until I remember how she looked when I left her. The next victim was Roger Parks. He was this big shot stockbroker. He put most of his money in stocks because he believed that's where all the money was. Well, finally one day his stocks went down. Hard. He lost all of his money in the 2008 depression. He looked so depressed when I made my attack. Like he was ready to die. The police found him the same way they found the first victim, but he had his briefcase still. Inside of it were all of his papers, and the most disturbing thing was he had a picture of his family on him. Maybe he just wanted one last goodbye. The third victim was Victoria Smith. She was this 40-something-year-old mother of 3. She was definitely keeping good shape at her age. She would always complain about how her kids don't have time for her anymore and how her husband won't pay attention to her. They found her with her guts pulled out of her body, skull crushed, and her body reduced to jelly. I have her picture with her family, the family that didn't give her enough attention. The fourth victim was Kelly Soprano. She worked the ticket booth at the subway station. I saw her every day on her shift after school. Pretty little thing. Her brunette hair was amazing. Her smile always brightened me up when I had my darkest days, and she was always down to talk whenever. I wish I had never touched her. Looking back, she was the victim I regret killing the most. She was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. Her picture is her with the dog filter on her face, and she's wearing her Metro uniform. The fifth and most recent victim was Todd Lebowski. He was this wannabe YouTuber performing stupid stunts to get views. I watched his videos after the killing, and he seemed like an entitled D-bag. His last stunt was the worst one he could have come up with. He was getting my attention, trying to piss me off. Well, he got what he wanted. His body was the worst out of all of them. They couldn't even recognize who he was. They had to go off dental records. Somehow the camera was intact, so they looked at the footage. What they saw was me, trying to tell him to get off the track before I ran him over with the subway car. After every death, everyone tells me it's not my fault, but I can't help just remembering them in their last moments. I started to feel better when I took pictures of them and hung them in the subway cars I drive for the day. I went to everyone's funeral, to make sure they had someone to remember them. Emily had to go into prostitution, became a heavy drug user. Roger became affiliated with loan sharks and made a hole too big to come out of. Victoria lost everything. Her kids went out of state, her husband was a gay man the whole time, and the cherry on the top was she found out she had skin cancer and she had months to live. Kelly was a victim of bullying. Her note said she loved everyone, that made her smile. She even mentioned me. Todd seemed like a stunt gone wrong, but actually, he was battling depression, and his stunts were his way of trying to end it all. To the people who are battling depression or are going through a rough spot in their life, just know that someone will remember you fondly. Even if it's just the guy who sees you in your final seconds.